So we were able to set up our routes, navigate there in the last video. What we also saw is that we have this hashtag in the URL, which was added automatically by the Vue router. Now it was added because it's the default setup the Vue router uses. It's a style you see a lot in single page applications due to a specific reason. If you have a normal route, a normal URL I should say, without the hashtag, then each request, once you hit enter on your keyboard, gets sent to the server. This is how the browser and how the web works, and which makes sense. It would be hard to visit web pages if it wouldn't get sent to the server. The problem with sending it to the server is that we want to handle the route in our single page application though. We don't want to get the route to the server. We want to handle it on our local page here. Though if we visit our page for the first time, in this case we want to get it to the server because we need to get this single page. But if we, for example, visit /user without a hashtag, we would like to get our single page, the index.html file, and then take over and handle the rest of the URL with our single page instead with the browser, or the server I should say. Well, the hashtag allows us to do just that. The part in front of the hashtag is sent to the server, so to say. This will give us back our index.html file. And the part after the hashtag is then handed over to our running JavaScript application and may be handled by that application, so that now we can extract our paths from there. This works fine, and it spares us the issues we might face if we would have to configure our server in a certain way that it kind of gives us back the right thing. Though it turns out configuring our server isn't that difficult, and having these URLs isn't that pretty. It would be nicer to have the normal URLs where we don't have a hashtag and still be able to use our single page application as we are used to do. Well, turns out it's not that hard. The thing you will have to do on your server, which I can't show you here, is that you need to return the index.html file in all cases. So even in 404 error cases, because that is what your server will throw if you visit this route which isn't registered on your server. This is what your server needs to do. Always return the index.html file, because then in the index.html file, our Vue.js application gets launched, and hence it is able to then parse our URL and take over. This is very convenient and gives us nicer routes. Now, in order to tell the Vue.js router that we want to use this way of setting up our URLs and that our server is configured correctly, is simply to go to our router which we create here and not only pass the routes, but also the mode property, which we may set to history. That's the name for this no hashtag style. It's called history mode. The default mode is hash, which you don't have to set because, well, it's the default. You can override it with history. And this will lead to the following behavior. If I now hit enter here, not reload, hit enter, you now see I still load the user page. You see it reloads the page, but then it navigates correctly. That of course works because our development server we're using here in the Webpack project is automatically set up in a way to give us back the index.html file in all circumstances. Otherwise this would not work. You need to configure your server appropriately. And to learn more about that, visit or Google for Vue router, and then you may visit the official documentation on it. There, generally a good place to dive deeper, there you will find the HTML5 history mode point, which explains you how you may set up your server to serve the correct file. But that's just a little addition. Let's now head back, and now that we understood how we can change this, I will keep this history mode here. Let's now go back to the question how we can add links in our page to actually be able to click there and navigate around.